Hello and welcome to the Comicspiracy episode number 58. My name is Ryan Higgins. This is the week of Monday, what is this, May 21st, 2012. Bunch of crap to talk about this week, so let's get going. I got a few people here with me, as always. Brock Sager, say hello.
Hi.
Then we got Omar down the far end.
Yo, yo, yo.
Then we got down the other far end, Toby.
Hello.
And then Charlie, as always.
Hello.
And then also, as always, for the last few episodes, off the mic, in the cheap seats, Jim. He's apparently sitting here doing work while he's listening to us record. I don't even know why you're here anymore, but that's fine.
It's our live studio audience, man.
Yeah.
He lives here.
He's closer now, so we have a real laugh track.
He comes in when you go home. You just don't know.
You may notice there's actually no laughing during this episode, and that's why, because we're just so unfunny that the laugh track doesn't even want to laugh. So there you go.
With a Big Bang Theory.
It's just you three white guys over there are intimidated because we have three Asian guys now on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
Jim's Asian by
Jim is Asian. Yeah.
He's Asian by infusion.
yeah, not by birth.
He eats a lot of the food, is what you're saying?
Exactly.
Jeez.
Talking about kitty cat.
I was thinking something else. Yeah.
I know. So we actually got a little bit of news stuff. We've been kind of light on news stuff the last handful of weeks. There's been not a ton to talk about. This past weekend was Kapow convention over in England.
No?
Over
Or
in
Batman
England.
gets a blowjob, right?
Okay. Over in London was the
Oh.
Kapow.
Yeah.
I hear we
convention.
had something else.
We had a little con here in San Jose as well. That the
Big
only
Wow.
news, Big Wow. The only news,
Kapow
was-
and Big Wow.
Yeah.
Jim Lee being here, right?
The only news that Jim Lee was here and people stood in line for 3 hours to get a sketch, and then he flew
And
home.
he did sign for 4 hours.
Yeah. No, of course, that's badass. Jim
Is
Lee's
that
he's
considered
a monster.
Is that considered a convention or a signing?
Well, I think there was one line for Jim Lee, and a lot of dealers standing there looking at the line, going, I wish those people were shopping here, instead of being in line for Jim Lee. And I'm sure once people got their autograph and sketched by Jim Lee, they exited the building. I'm going to assume most of them did, because Big Wow's.
They did have Frank Cho.
Yeah, it's the same 10 guys there.
Yeah,
every
but
year.
Frank Cho last year did a good.
Blackside guy was there this year.
Yeah, he did a good little seminar last year, and he did something similar this year, from what I hear. So it was actually really cool last year when he did the
they
seminar.
usually have like one like out of state guy, one out of country guy, and they try to get like a big name. But
And the Punisher.
yeah. I just that whole con I'm just on, so I just ignore it. But Kapow, which is actually it's not put on by Mark Miller, if I'm not mistaken. I think
Your
he's-
arch nemesis.
Yeah, I think he actually like
So
co-runs it or
let
something.
me get this right. The local one, you're like, whatever, ignore it, blah blah this, blah blah that. But the one in England that your arch nemesis is putting on, you're totally talking about.
Yeah, do you know why? Do you know why?
Why?
Because some writers show up to this convention.
Oh.
See?
He's
So therefore,
Ryan is the artist.
So therefore, news happens because story elements and story plots are brought up. Whereas artists are like, "I draw a picture of Batman. Here you go." So that's my art hate. So.
I'm pretty sure if Jim Lee wanted to spoil some stuff and announce some news, he could have.
Hey, I'd be if Jim Lee was like, "I'm going to have a panel about DC Comics," I would have gone, like no question asked. But
But there weren't any questions asked. All he was doing was signing.
right.
I don't read Playboy for the articles, by the way.
Right. So anyway, at Kapow, the big con or big-ish con in London, there was a bit of news that made a lot actually mainstream press today about from Dan Didio saying that a major DC character will be revealed to be homosexual in a future upcoming issue of DC Comics.
Can we just put quotes next to major? Until it's actually
quote
revealed.
major. It sounds like it's someone that has not been a previously straight will now be one of our most prominent gay characters, is what he said.
and it'll be Superman. No, I'm kidding.
Well, and it's not sure if it's going to be someone new, someone that hasn't been introduced. According to a recent post on Bleeding Cool, it says
a male character.
Is a male character.
It should totally be Power Girl. I'm sorry.
That will be a storyline in June.
World's
so
finest.
I'm saying Alan Scott, Earth 2.
That's what he just said.
it's very possible. I think Brock's probably on the right path. That I could see them being one of the characters from Earth 2.
I think it's going to get an Earth 2 character.
That
because
makes sense.
they haven't. They've given us the Earth 2 Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman
Before killing them.
Before killing them, yeah. So now it kind of
Well,
opens up.
supposedly killing them.
Now it opens up a little bit of a leeway for them to play around with the Earth 2 characters, which is fine. It's, I mean, giving us a different incarnation of a character on a different, universe is completely within the realm of DC. So
Yeah, I'm just. I don't. It's a weird thing for me that this is getting picked up on like mainstream news channels.
Because
like
it has to do with
Yahoo
the
and
gays.
MSNBC had a bunch of stuff about this. And it's
Yeah, it
just-
was like the top trending thing on Yahoo today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a weird that this is. It wasn't that we're like big announcement from DC. We're making a character gay. It's nothing like that. They're like, yeah, we're gonna have a gay character, blah blah blah, and it just seemed to be like pop, and all of a sudden,
just because
huge
it has to
news
do
story.
with, it
So
has to do with the gays.
the gays.
Yeah.
Well, James Robinson, I mean, I think
There you
you,
go,
you said
Brock.
Earth 2, right? James Robinson
Yeah,
has
James
done
Robinson.
really well, and I think a lot of the LGBT community do embrace his writing. I think they really
Especially-
enjoy Michaela Janin.
And he's in San Francisco. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
so-
he's been kind of I don't know, not.
Yeah.
He advocates the scene, I think. So
It's my guess it's Alan Scott because he seems like a total. He seems like he's not sniffing for any poon in the way he's being written in Earth 2. Seems like a total eccentric.
In the 2 panels we've seen him in, or
Yeah, he's like in a jet with like a hot bitch, and he's not even trying to like slap that ass.
I say it's vibe.
well, that's
It's too easy.
well, that's too easy.
It's too easy.
Yeah.
Especially now that he has his own little 2 DC shorts that last Saturday.
Well, it's weird too because that's totally vibe in that DC 52 #1, like in that Justice League War, like the Trinity War page, right, by Jim Lee. That's totally vibe that's in that panel. So, like, what vibe? What the hell they bring in vibe of all the Detroit?
Well, that's the whole point, right? That's what Jeff John said. He wants challenges. So
That's a fucking challenge. all the vibe and I mean, Gypsy's cool and Vixen's cool, but frickin' Steel and frickin'
cars getting stolen.
well,
The jewelry store next door is getting wobbed.
that's a little annoying. I guess maybe we'll keep recording and hopefully this stops. And if it doesn't, I'll stop the recording. But yeah, I'm just gonna pause this. 15 minutes later. All right, that was a little weird alarm going off next door at the jewelry store. I wonder if the rogues are in town, or possibly Catwoman trying to steal some lovely jewelry.
that was horrible.
Thank you.
If it was Catwoman, the alarm wouldn't go off.
Dude, if I saw
It must be
Captain
Black
Cold,
Cat.
if I saw Captain Cold busting out the back door right now with a handful of jewels sliding away on his little zap ray thing, I
Well,
would
Omar has
died.
to just jump on it. Omar is
You would have been running
Omar's
after him,
wearing
like,
a Nightwing
autograph,
shirt.
please.
So yeah, we were talking about something. We were talking about Marvel. I'm sorry, DC making one of their main characters gay.
While Marvel is doing the whole marriage.
And that's a very good segue, Toby. It's where I was
Yeah.
going to go next. At the same time, DC. Or, I'm sorry. At the same time, Marvel. At the same time as DC is doing this, Marvel has a gay marriage that they've been talking about for a while. That's going to happen in Astonishing X-Men #50.
Now let's give Marvel a little credit. They were doing this before DC was.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And let's give Archie Comics credit because they did it before them.
Well, and
And all
Miracle
the
Man,
all the independent
Miracle
comics
Man
before that.
yeah.
All the independent comics before that.
and Batwoman and Obsidian and Renee Montoya and North Star and was in one of the Runaways gay? Am I
The
mistaken
Ultimate
about that?
Colossus was gay.
Ultimate Colossus.
Ultron's son or something.
Yeah, so this is
Oh,
like,
young-
and that's why I'm like,
No,
Victor Mancha.
Young Avengers.
oh, Young Avengers. I'm sorry, not
Yeah.
Runaways. Young Avengers. That's why I'm kind of like, is this a story? Like, the story is that it's a story, not the story. It's
Yeah.
kind of dumb. It's like, congratulations, they introduced a black character. Oh, they introduced a girl. Like, are these stories these days? I just don't get it.
Well, I think the news is more that DC is not announcing who it is. So
Well-
there's the fear of like, oh no, Batman might turn out to be gay.
Yeah,
I think there's
yeah.
the fear of that going on right now.
Plus, the fact that they're calling it a main major character just immediately leads to that whole talk about who could it be
Sure.
versus.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, once it actually comes out, it'll blow
Wait.
over in seconds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember when they introduced Batwoman and they said, oh, she's gay. It's like everyone's like, cool. That it was decent news, but it got a little bit of play. But
Yeah.
again, you're tied to Bat, right? The Bat family.
Yeah. But again, on that one, they specifically said who it is. Here's
Right.
there's a little mystery going on, and
So that's
it's
that's
like,
the mystery.
Yeah, it's like, is it Wonder Woman? Is it, since they're saying it's a major character,
Yeah.
all the eyes are at the main
Hey.
7 right now.
You know
Sure.
what that means, right? It makes us all curious now.
It does.
We are all curious.
We are.
Well, coming from the metrosexual guy of the group, I myself found that of the most of the Kapow news, I don't know, maybe this resonated most to me. Dan Didio now doing a whole 360 spin, saying no, it's not about the big three. It's about it's all these other characters that we have in the DC universe. I mean, this is just like less than a year ago, like at WonderCon and Comic-Con. He's like, no, it will always be about Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. It's our job, it's our legacy. But now he's talking about
Well,
I think he'd done his job, right?
Yeah.
They reintroduced the New 52 with the stable, most iconic characters. Now it's time to shift over to all the other characters, introduce everybody. That's what DC Nation is doing so well. All these little shorts are introducing new characters for people to get into, which is really great. I mean, they're going to watch, some of these kids might watch some of these obscure characters on these little mini cartoons and come into the store and go, hey,
No.
I actually do want to read about this guy.
I mean, don't get me wrong though. I'm hyped about that because like a few of you guys, actually half of you guys, or maybe all of you, I'm really more into a lot of those obscure characters. I mean, Green Lantern was one of them prior to all the hype in the last 5 years that Jeff Johns brought from him.
Yeah,
So-
I love Green Lantern before he was cool. Again.
well, I think
Isn't there a T-shirt?
I think the funny comparison here is Marvel for a long time had a lot of like random and obscure short miniseries and all these ongoing series of like, this is going to be canceled in 5 minutes, and they weren't selling. But it was like it felt in a market flooding sort of way. Where DC with the New 52, I mean, I think that's totally incorrect because I think DC with the New 52 has shown just how diverse they want to be. You have the core. You obviously have a huge line of Batman, a handful of Superman, but you only have one Wonder Woman. You only have one Flash.
Yeah.
You have obviously a handful of Green Lantern characters, but it's the books like now GI Combat and OMAC and Animal Man and Swamp Thing that they're really trying to go out and do something. I don't think Marvel has a single book that's not related to the X-Men, Avengers, or Fantastic Four or Spider-Man right now. They really don't have any books. The Annihilation stuff is gone. All their little characters are gone. The Defenders, you can link back to Avengers in some fashion. All
Hulk,
these with
sure.
the Hulk. All these characters are easily linked back to these other to their basic 4 main franchises.
Well, at least their main line of books. I mean, they do have the whole icon.
Sure. I mean, in the main, right. Obviously, at this point, Vertigo is completely independent of DC, and so there's no continuity to the DC to Vertigo books.
They were talking before. I mean, with the New 52 stuff, that yes, they were focusing on the main characters like Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. They wanted to keep those consistent and all that, but now we're getting characters that are breaking out, that are becoming more. People are getting more engaged because they're seeing these characters. These characters are being brought to to the surface. We have DC Comics Presents, which gave a lot. With the Deadman stuff that was before, we got a little bit more of Deadman, but now we have titles like Voodoo. We have titles like Grifter. We have titles like Teen Titans. Resurrection Man, Suicide Squad. All these titles that are have not top tier characters in them. But these books have solid followings now. They're very, very solid titles going out.
Well, I think with Marvel, they're doing a little bit of it. Scarlet Spider, although clearly tied to Spider-Man, is very outside of the Spider-Man universe.
Freaking awesome book, by the way.
Which I know you really like, Toby. Miss Marvel is, again, in a similar situation where clearly an Avenger character, but it seems like they're going to kind of let her do her own thing in that book. So we're getting a little bit more with Marvel, letting a little bit. Not quite as far as what DC's done, but a little bit. So
There's always the Runaways.
right, Runaways,
What a great book.
which has been, I think, poorly mishandled in the last handful of years. And even Young Avengers, despite being tied to the Avengers, was always a very separate book, except when they brought them back to bring back Scarlet Witch. So
Was also Heroes for Hire. Kind of had a separate feel.
Yeah,
it was
the
a
Heroes-
nice, it was
yeah.
a nice kind of change up.
but again, didn't last more than
what
18
a
years.
year.
Yeah,
Heroes
plus
is
Heroes for Hire has always been tied to the Street Heroes.
Right.
From the old Heroes of Hire books
Yeah.
and the Power Man. And
Well, you really get into Daredevil and Punisher, and I mean, there's plenty of independent sort of characters not really tied to any teams long term, at least.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even when you get into those have sort of been classic staples at Marvel for a long time. They're not necessarily new characters that are giving a chance to shine.
Yeah. Oh, with the Marvel's gay marriage. I didn't get to finish saying this. They're actually getting an interview with Marvel is going to be on The View tomorrow, which is I think on Tuesday. That's odd. That's cool that they're getting on something like that. But what a weird show for like comic news to be on.
So, who's going to be on The View? Since Marvel's a entity, not a individual.
Thank you, Charlie. Up top. Give me a 5. You left me hanging. You're an ass.
Yeah.
That was a good one, though.
Tune to ABC
liked
tomorrow as the hosts of ABC's The View exclusively reveal a major Marvel announcement. So I guess no one from Marvel, I guess, just them. That's
4 ladies are going to tell us a Marvel announcement.
that's cool.
Sure.
It's a lady that's writing the book right now.
Yeah. It's a cool, just interesting way to see what they're doing with the how much different press they can get from these. And especially is this part of the Disney machine because it's Disney and ABC. So
Yeah.
Well, but again, hey, major comic press is cool. And plus, Avengers. Actually, this is the other thing I want to talk about. Avengers cracking what 1 point? What did it hit? 1.2? Did it break? Did it break 1.2?
Yeah, 1.2. Everyone's writing 1.2, 1.3.
Is it already 1.3? Avengers. Let's see. Box Office Mojo can tell me.
But I don't trust all those sites that are just mainstream news.
A lot of the stuff has the estimated,
Yes.
and then
Yeah, Box Office Mojo. Box Office Mojo tends to be pretty good about this. They're saying 1.18 as of I think this weekend. So that's insane.
So it's like what, number 4 now? On
I think
top
it's-
grossing?
it's
I think
number
it's
4.
5.
Oh, 5.
No,
5.
it's 4.
Is it 4?
Yeah, it's 4.
Is it 4 now?
The only thing
it's 4.
And then 3 is Dark Knight, right?
It's Dark Knight
Yeah,
and then
Avatar
and Titanic.
Yeah, just past Star Wars, I think, right?
Yeah.
No, I
a little bit ago.
think it passed Dark Knight, isn't it? Like
think so.
Harry Potter and then Titanic and
Let's see.
You're more of a movie guy than I am, so I would trust your instincts more than mine.
Either way, it's
Those are some big
ridiculous.
ass films and big ass licenses.
No, you're right. You're
brands.
right. Actually, wow. Yeah. Dark of the Moon is now 5. Avengers is 4. Harry Potter Deathly Hallows 2 is 3. Titanic's 2 and Avatar is 1. And Harry Potter's 1.3. Marvel's 1.18. Marvel's Avengers.
yeah, it's gonna.
It might.
It's going to.
You think so?
It's still pretty early in its.
Oh, it hasn't opened in Japan yet either. Oh, that's August. That's a big market still. So it could. Yeah, we could get too. I mean, in Titanic and Avatar, those guys are off in their own world. But yeah, so that's super cool for Avengers. I mean, I saw it on Sunday again for the second time with a few.
Great.
As you can now hear, there is an alarm going off next door again. So let's keep this recording for just a second. Hey, there we
you
go.
go.
That only lasted a second this time. Excellent.
That's annoying.
That's very annoying. What was great was I saw Avengers again this weekend, and we went Sunday, 11:45. We're 3 weeks after U.S. opening
Yeah.
here, and it was like 3/4 full.
That's awesome.
Ton of kids,
Yeah.
and they were loving it.
Yeah.
It was very kid friendly.
Oh yeah. Oh
Avengers
yeah.
is very kid. I mean, that's where Marvel's doing a good job. It's very family oriented, as opposed to Dark Knight. It's a little more mature.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different audience. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Dark
absolutely.
Knight. Even though Dark Knight's PG-13, it's a very hard PG-13 and not a fun quote unquote movie.
They're
So,
pushing
And-
PG-13.
yeah.
To a degree, that actually even more makes the Dark Knight sort of standing on being number 5 to a much more limiting audience. That
Yeah.
much more impressive, actually.
Right. Well, what's like top 100 movies and how many of them are rated R? Like 1 or 2, or probably none for box office. For total box office, probably 0 are rated R because R-rated movies just can't make the same amount of money that PG and PG-13 can. So, yeah, it's very impressive either way.
Yeah.
I know we had maybe just because word's getting out a little bit, almost everyone stayed even through the end of the credits.
Oh, cool.
Which when we went opening night,
No, a bunch of people.
three quarters of the movie left.
Yeah.
So word, and I even was talking to the people at the pizza place next door, and they were like, "Oh, there's something after the credits. Oh, I got to go back and watch it again and see it through." And so I am of everyone I know one of the few people who had only seen it once, and I'm talking non-comic book people who are like, "Oh, I've seen it like 3 times already." That's awesome. Like you just don't hear that.
No,
Well,
that's
no,
great.
even at the high school, I mean, kids have been asking me. They're like, "Have you seen it?" I saw it again, and I'm like, "No, I've only seen it once. I'll go again." And they're going back to watch it.
Yeah.
so-
And I know they had some info released on the Blu-ray. It's like a 4-disc Blu-ray that's coming out with a ton of deleted scenes. Some new Maria Hill intro thing that they're doing. I don't know exactly what it is. Obviously, nothing's been
And
announced.
a new short, possibly.
I think that's the short, right? Isn't that?
No, I thought it was a Coulson. Isn't it a Coulson short?
Is it? I don't know.
Is it-
well,
is
it's
it new
called
material?
item. It's called Item 47, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Item.
I thought that was the
Item
Maria Hill
number.
thing. No, is
Is
that not
it?
the
I
same
thought it was
thing?
Coulson.
No,
I
isn't
be
that
wrong.
what she goes after?
I think so.
In the beginning
I
of the
want to
film?
say it's that weapon that Coulson is holding in the movie.
Oh, it could.
It's like a little prequel to that, maybe.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, but I don't know nothing. So
Yeah,
I don't
Maybe
know.
it's a life model decoy.
No, at the beginning they're going after the stage 2 weapons, which is
Oh, yeah,
like
stage 2, yeah.
the Tesseract fueled weapons.
Yeah.
So
The ones of skull, red skull.
yeah.
No, it was.
Destroyer.
Yeah,
That was the leftover parts of the destroyer.
it is what Coulson was holding, but
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Area 2 was the Tesseract.
It was the Tesseract stuff. Yeah, there was a lot of. Shield likes to make weapons. That's kind of what they do. So
Big surprise.
yeah. Anyone here seen it more than once yet?
Well, I saw it twice.
You did. I know, Toby. I know
more
you.
than once
Toby saw
before it
like
came
4
out.
times
Right.
opening night.
Yeah.
I must have watched it
Did you-
more than once, but it was not in the theaters.
Uh-oh.
You didn't.
Didn't what?
Exactly.
I don't know what you didn't do.
No, I was just like on different sites and just like looking at stuff, and then I just kept
Oh,
going from part
pieced
1
it together from
I was going-
YouTube clips, huh?
Yeah, I went from part 1 to 22 or something like that. I don't know.
I can see that. Brock, do you watch it again yet?
No, I'm going to take Callie hopefully soon.
Nice.
But I mean, I did watch a really crappy pirated copy on a disc of Hulk smashing Loki again.
See, I don't talk about that kind of stuff.
I didn't buy it.
That's
Comic
okay. If you want to
conspiracy.
just talk about the Hulk smashing scene, I've watched that on YouTube a bunch of
Well, yeah,
times.
that's different.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
It's a comic conspiracy podcast and not condone piracy of any form. Every time you do, the key grip of the movie does not get the 5 cents he's supposed to, because that's what the movie industry tells us, that every person gets paid royalties for movies. So believe the movie industry.
Yeah, but piracy is okay though.
Yeah. Hey, Brock.
Suck it, ass fuck.
You know, I haven't heard you rage for a little. What's wrong with you?
I don't know.
I haven't heard you rage for a little bit. So much like Bruce Banner, I could just say
You're going
if
to let the beast out?
you're always angry.
I am always angry.
Why don't you tell me why you really hate Marvel going completely? All their books will be quote unquote self-covered.
Oh, self-covered.
In July. Now, for those that don't know, before Brock goes on his tirade here, Marvel has changed the paper quality of their cover stock to match the paper quality of their paper stock inside the book, which is a little. I mean, I'm not going to lie; it is a noticeable difference. The paper does feel different. The cover is not as glossy; it feels like the paper inside, and it's going fully changed soon.
Are they cutting the page count again like they did when they did the $2.99 books?
It says starting with July 4th on sale items, all 32-page Marvel Universe comics. So no, 32-page means they will continue to have 20 pages and 12 pages of ads. So, but Brock, you seem to hate these covers.
Well, the Battle Scars one was like toilet paper, and then you pick up like a Fantastic Four, and it feels a little bit better. So the paper quality on the 299s is even varied. So now you're going to take the 399 books and make it all interior stock, which I know Dark Horse or Image has done this also, and
I think Image and Dark Horse have both
Dark
done
Horse-
it, and I know Bongo has done it with the Simpsons comics. I think they were actually the first, if I'm not mistaken.
but the paper quality kind of was moved in between. So the paper quality kind of became, the interior became a little bit better, and the cover became, so it was like it balanced it out. Instead of going to the lower paper inside, we're bringing it all to the upper paper like the cover's supposed to be. But now there's really no distinction between cover and interior, with at least feel of the paper.
Same paper quality.
And I mean, this might seem really, really trivial, but I mean, my hands climb up really easily. So the second I hold one of these pages for more than a minute, like I'm constantly having to not touch these comic books to be able to read them. And you know, I've pulled my finger off of these, and I've gotten ink from the paper stuck on my finger. I've left fingerprints. Yeah.
I don't think you're taking ink off this paper.
I can bring in my Mind the Gap, number one. I pulled the ink off the paper.
You're talking about like Marvel books, no?
No, I'm talking in general with the cover.
Really?
changing.
Really? Have you ever read Dark Horse books?
Dark Horse books are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
No,
the same
we've-
now,
Because they've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know, but it's the quality of the paper on these is better than the quality that Marvel's.
I think it's the same paper, though, and that's what I'm saying. Here's the thing. Battle Scars, don't quote me on this because I haven't checked the page count, but I believe Battle Scars number 6, which is the one you're talking about, having the really bad paper, had the same page count as the Marvel Avengers Prelude, which also felt really crappy. I think the problem is not the paper, but the page count. I think when they go to 20 pages, or 22 pages, because you have like the ads on the inside, when they cut out the paper and you're a third less, when the comic is a third less thick, I think that really affects how the comic feels, and it feels really flimsy when you've lost those pages.
No, when you take pages out, like they lose like 4 pages.
No, it was 10 pages.
10 pages.
Yeah.
When you lose,
they basically took all the ads out. Is what happened.
No, when you lose pages like that, it does affect the book. I mean, it does affect how the book feels. But
Well,
I mean,
I'll
if
tell
you
you actually know exactly what it feels like. When I was getting ready on my Superman Death of Superman run to get bound, which I still have in the back, which I still need to send off, I took out all the ad pages, which was about 10 pages of ads. The books, except for the cover being a different quality, the thickness of that comic, that third less thickness, was a huge difference, and I really think that has a lot to do with it.
No, and I don't that's not something I'm contesting. It's just the fact that you know, I've felt the Marvel paper versus the Image and Dark Horse paper, and the Marvel paper is garbage.
So you're complaining about page girth?
The micron count of the pages is fucking garbage. Well, no, but this is a cost saving thing, right? Sure. This is supposed to save, so the book's still $3.99.
But I think it's not $4.50. Is you know, it's not $3.99 across the board. It's not $4.50. It's not $4.99. I think that's what this is.
So it's not a
part of.
cost cutting measure like they say it is. It's we're not going to increase costs because we're going to do this.
See, I was actually thinking about this recently, and I may have even talked about it with some people. I find it kind of interesting that I've been reading comics long enough to sort of always see those trends of like, well, both companies tend to push their prices up at the same time and lower the price. It seems since Disney purchased Marvel, they're no longer really worried about how their choices are going to look in compared to their competition with DC, because it seems like they're completely ignoring if DC's keeping certain things at $2.99 now and making choices like this where it's still more expensive and now the quality is going down. It just it seems to me like it's very much more of a numbers game, really. I actually wonder if they're under more pressure from Disney to make that side of the business more profitable.
No, I don't.
I guarantee you
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, at this point, when you're owned by a company like that, I mean, the history of DC, they've said for a long time that Warner Brothers, the rumor going around was that Warner Brothers never really cared what DC Comics did, the publishing aspect of it. They could publish, if the book failed, well, it didn't matter, they could still finish out the run. However, in these lean years, and especially more recently as Warner Brothers has taken a strong look at DC and their properties, they've focused their eye directly on DC and been like, hey, how could you let this unprofitable comic still be published? Like, the bean counters are finally starting to notice.
Yeah.
I think with Disney, that's probably, we are buying you and you are going to publish the way we tell you to publish. I mean, from everything I've heard, Marvel's left alone as far as plots and everything goes, but they clearly have to hit some sort of sales goal. And if cutting, you know, a few pages out here and there, or testing out this new paper. If it's a big enough difference, if it's saving them a penny or two on a comic when you're publishing a couple million comics, that's a lot of money. So,
and that's sort of how I'm starting to see this stuff is. You always heard that when like the purchase went through, it's not going to affect anything.
Always will.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're finally starting to see how that may not be affecting, as you said, the story elements. And but I mean, even then, you kind of look at it's kind of a good and bad kind of thing where I can see that while it's not greatly affecting sort of the writers and all that in terms of getting their books out, you're definitely starting to see that sort of. The main people over at Marvel have their finger in a lot of different things, and at some point, something's going to have to give.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just look at also Marvel finally coming over to Comixology.
Sure.
Right at the time when Avengers is hitting this big market where a lot of people are on Comixology, it's dumped on a Kindle automatically. So, well, why wouldn't we jump on the bandwagon now? Because now it's going to be this instantaneous cash grab. Before
Marvel's been on Comixology for a long time. I mean, since it started.
Yeah, but with the retailers backing it, not
that's means nothing. They don't care about that. Yeah, that we don't. I don't think the stores sell anywhere near as what they're selling on themselves. So, I know we want to talk about AVX because we haven't talked about it in the last few weeks. But real quick to kind of segue into that. There was an interesting article on Comic Resources with Dan Slott talking about leading up to Spider-Man 7, number 700. And I just thought it was a funny comment because, let me see if I can get this part here. He says, something really seismic is going to happen in Amazing Spider-Man 700. So you're going to have AVX happen, and shortly after, Amazing Spider-Man 700. And the Marvel Universe that you're going to see after that, it's not a reboot. There is no reboot. But the effects of AVX and the effects happening in Spider-Man 700 are so big that you'll be looking at quite a different landscape after the seismic changes. So a lot of people were saying, Marvel's going to follow DC with the reboot after AVX. Dan Slott obviously coming out saying, no reboot. I just think it's funny because you don't have to restart the universe to reboot the book, right? I mean, they rebooted Uncanny X-Men half a year ago when they relaunched it as a new number one, right? I mean, they changed the team dynamics. They changed things up. So I just thought that was kind of a funny statement. So there was something really big happening in the Marvel Universe after AVX and after Spider-Man 700, and it will be a very different universe.
Well,
it just may not be.
Bendis writing 5 Avengers books a month. I mean, it kind of...
Yeah. I almost wonder... Is something going to click in my head like in 10 years and I'm going to go back and be like, yeah, I might as well just get all the Avengers stuff now that the real Avengers are back and the movie's successful and they kind of got the new Avengers out of the way and the real Avengers have come back and like all of a sudden like Jonathan Hickman's been writing Avengers for 4 years and it's like the best book on the market and I'm like, the Avengers are awesome. I wonder if I'd actually go back and fill in that collection. I don't think I would.
No, I don't think you will either.
No, I just can't. It's just bad times for me. Just bad times. I was looking at my Avengers number 4. I know over here, Jim off in the cheap seats, he actually picked up a copy today. So congratulations in the Avengers number 4 owning. You bought it after the Avengers movie. You're supposed to buy it like before the Captain America movie.
I couldn't find it.
eBay, my friend, eBay. But then they're expensive. So, but Charlie, you're our AVX man. Let's hear a little bit. Have you been? You're current. You're all caught
I'm
up.
current on.
Yeah, I've read
books
them
and crossovers.
Has anyone?
Everything.
I'm not current on all the crossovers. I've read a few. Everyone caught up on the main book here.
I think I still need to read the one that's out right now, number 4.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Do you guys care if Charlie spoils?
No, not at all. No,
Okay.
that's fine. I can read it in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, you really can.
You know what's sad
Yeah.
is you can.
This isn't like this isn't like Night of the Owls or anything.
What's
It's the one on top.
Oh, there it is.
What's your?
Sorry.
We're still having difficulty telling what the number in the cover is.
Please continue.
I don't
will
think
start.
we actually really talked about 3 either. Which,
don't think so.
Which
No.
3, if I'm remembering correctly, is Wolverine.
Getting kicked out of a plane and
Yeah, the really dumb Cap Wolverine fight, and,
Yeah.
and Cap. Well, I guess it makes more sense of context after number 4. Sort of. But yeah, Wolverine and Cap are just like, bleh, we're jocks. We're gonna punch each other in the face a few thousand times, and then Giant Man kicks Wolverine out of a plane and he falls into the snow. And
yes, that's
number
their
3.
version of sidelining Wolverine. Is we'll just abandon him in the snow. He's Wolverine. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
He'll kill a polar bear on a continent that doesn't have polar bears.
That's okay. I learned everything I know from comics, so now they do.
Yeah. But you know how to
And when
get
it- when-
Wolverine's attention. Just throw beer.
Hey, if
cans,
if
and he'll follow them like breadcrumbs.
I like the fact that
Now
they
you're
talk
talking-
about how it was all frozen.
Now you're talking about number 4. If Punisher can punch a polar bear in the face, Wolverine can fight a polar bear in whatever area he's in. Maybe it's the brother of the polar bear from Lost. So
Isn't every polar bear the brother of the polar bear from
yes,
Lost?
yes,
And
it should
the
be.
polar bear is gonna hook up with the black polar bear, and they're gonna combine, and they become the panda bear.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm okay with
What about a
this.
gray bear?
Too bad for him. That's the
Yeah.
koala bear.
So while AVX3 I think was just another fight, 4
AVX still just has that general problem of there's fights going on that don't really make sense for the characters who are fighting. And
yeah.
that was actually one of the things that bothered me the most about number 4 was the fact that Wolverine finally seemed to be acting like Wolverine until the last couple of pages.
Yeah, I mean, he tracks down Hope, or Hope tracks him down.
And pretty much sort of says, okay, I want you with me in case I do wig out, since I trust you to kill me if I do wig out, but give me the chance. And he's like, okay, I will, which is very much like Wolverine
Yeah.
to sort of be like, okay, I'll be there. But then
and then it's just a ruse the whole time. So
but this is what I don't get. So if it's just a ruse the whole time, why didn't he just kill her while she slept?
if it was a ruse the whole time, why did him and Captain America fight for a whole issue? I mean, maybe to confuse Emma Frost in case she read his mind or something.
Because what the hell? Her power, she reached across the continent to take control of the janitor mutant, to go in to sit down and put Cerebro on,
Yeah.
and then she has more power to connect everywhere else. Huh? Are they passing out that drug they had in Uncanny X-Men? Like
Scarlet Witch just makes everything happen randomly.
And then,
sure.
okay, Charlie,
That's
maybe you
the
can
only thing that makes sense to me at this point for various characters.
A Scarlet Witch did it.
Now, maybe you can clarify, because I don't read the crossover stuff, and I thought AVX was just a solicitation book, but apparently I need to be reading something where there's a bunch of people in space standing around looking at something coming at you, and then Thor gets hit?
Yeah, Secret Avengers,
Avengers,
which was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, Secret Avengers 25, 26. That was I mentioned this like a few weeks ago. That was fantastic, and I can't wait for the next issue to come out. Oh, man. Secret Avengers is so good.
It was also in the Avengers book this week. Had some more
I
on
think
that.
they kind of mentioned
Even
a
though
little
it was
bit
like
of it.
prequel / like it was weird because they did some stuff before they went out into space. Like
Right.
they filled in some of the timeline there, and then they filled in some of the timeline after they went out in space,
Right.
which is kind of weird. It takes place before the Secret Avengers
And then right after. Yeah. You know, actually, I didn't read the second part yet, but I did read the first part of the Avengers Academy crossover, and I actually kind of thought that was a good issue.
Actually, but I read the second part of that also, and that was actually really enjoyable. I like how they're kind of doing the whole.
Toby
combining the
would
two.
really like
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
because they take like all the X-Men kids that are in Wolverine and the X-Men and they dump them off.
Not Wolverine and the X-Men. The ones that were left on the island.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right, I'm sorry. The ones that were left. You're right. Not because they're all still over in at the school. Yeah. No, the other kids, and then they dump them all in with X-23 and the rest of the Avengers Academy.
Yeah.
To like watch them. So it's like you kind of like two halves. You know, you have like the kids that are like, we're here under, you know, we want to be fighting with the X-Men, but we're here, and like the Avengers kids, you're our enemies, but
You got-
So, it's like
you
they're-
got like the school ground version of
Yeah.
the Big Bang.
totally.
And
That's
the
kind of awesome,
last
actually.
issue had a lot of stuff with X-23 having to kind of pick a side there too, which was actually
Kind
really
of
cool.
mimic the Wolverine
Yeah.
side. So yeah, I actually
That's kind of cool, actually. I got to see that.
There's been a couple of the crossover issues that have been pretty cool. So I like the Uncanny X-Men one with Colossus and Hulk was kind of whatever, but
Yeah, and the follow-up one wasn't that much better.
Yeah.
I did
Well,
like the,
you know, the Red
X-Men
Hulk had to
Legacy
go.
book recently, though. The one with She-Hulk and Rogue on the cover.
oh yeah.
That was actually a good crossover. That was,
See-
again, some...
X-Men Legacy when Mike Carey took over years ago.
Oh, that was a great book.
I tried. I could
I
not.
loved it.
I read the first few issues and just went, I guess I'll pick, as I usually do, I guess I'll pick it up when the next creator comes on. That was like 6 years ago. He never left the book, so I've been not reading X-Men Legacy forever.
Well,
I mean,
the last issue wasn't by
Well, right now he's off. Right now he's done. So that's why now I've been picking it back up again. But I just couldn't get into it.
I fell way behind on his run for X-Men Legacy, but I actually really liked the whole Xavier going around and seeing glimpses
that
of
early stuff where you get kind of, this is the Xavier story, and he's going around and doing all these little kind of...
And filling in some history gaps in his memory, and also giving some new glimpses to...
The book really had a core base where it was kind of like, here, we're going to tell you this person's story, and we're going to tell this story. It wasn't like, this is the X-Men team book. This is the stuff that we're not being able to see on a regular basis. But then for me, it started to go into all that space stuff again with Sword and the ship that's way too big to...
Yeah, Sword. Yeah.
Agent Brown.
I pretty much only made it through the part where they brought Danger back and Rogue and Gambit and...
Yeah, I read a little bit after that was still carrying on with like the Magneto.
I just realized something. Avengers 2 totally has to have Sword in it because it's going to be in space.
Oh,
It's going to
definitely.
be Sword and Shield.
Yes.
Did you just take a dump in your brain?
I love Sword. Sword's so cool. That's from the. That's all from. It's from the Joss Whedon Astonishing
what a
X-Men.
surprise.
There you go.
Right there.
You heard it here first. Sword is going to be in Avengers 2. Official.
You know what's going to happen?
Official.
You know what's going to happen? They're going to have the Astonishing X-Men movie come out.
Hey, I'd be down with
It'll
that.
be
if
teased in the
Marvel can get
Wolverine
the rights
movie that's
back.
coming out.
All right. Avengers vs. X-Men. You know what? 5 and 6, I'm assuming, or 5, I'm assuming is going to be kind of whatever. But I'm curious about 6
Well-
because they've pimped this. No more Avengers, right?
Which I'm guessing is going to be the end of 5 leading into it in 6.
No, I thought it
because-
was the end of 6
Well, from what I understand...
because it's like the halfway
end
point.
of the first act or something was supposed to be at the end of 5. And then they start the second one with 6, and then there was like a third
Really?
act in there somewhere.
Oh, I thought it would just
what
be...
I was reading.
Oh, well, I guess 3 acts makes sense. I thought it was just like 1 through 6, 7 through 12. But either way works. So, yeah, I'm... Okay, well, in that case, I am a little curious.
Now, what
Because I don't know where they're going with that.
What about Gambit versus Cap?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
that fight was over in 2
so
minutes.
lame.
I don't want it. I don't want to hear it. That does not
What
make
about
sense.
Colossus and Spider-Man? Or what do we call him?
Okay.
Colossonaut? No,
Juggernauts?
Colossonaut. Colossonaut.
Juggerlos is Mr. X.
Juggerossus.
Well, the Red Hulk has to go through Marvel Universe and keep, butt fucking all of them.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
So it is.
Yeah, and where's
Colossus
Cable
Nuts-
in all this?
The Colossus Nuts' turn.
Yeah,
It's,
that's...
He's back. He doesn't have the virus. What's
We
going
didn't
on?
see Cable die. That's like Dan Didio. We didn't see Superman
gonna be
die.
the Phoenix.
Well-
we didn't see him die.
he's
right?
going to
It's like
be the Phoenix.
pulling a Human Torch.
Any event,
Fantastic
so
Four death.
you opened up the thing with the verse book. I actually liked the second issue of the verse book better than the first by quite a bit.
That was fun. I liked it.
And a large part of the reason is first book was filled with what I would call really you have to go there moments, like with Iron Man pulling the
Jupiter.
yeah, it's just like they were trying to sensationalize stuff in the fight in ways that did not make any sense at all to kind of keep it going. And there was a lot of sort of useless dialogue and internal monologue that didn't really work for the fight either.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought the second one was a lot more sort of concise, and I didn't feel like the dialogue was wasted. I also kind of felt that all the tactics that were used were more true to the characters. It's not like
the Speedball special.
Speedball special. I'm back in.
Fastball special. My bad.
I'm back in.
Oh, Speedball! Look, he woke up. Oh, he's awake.
He was
no,
watching Avengers 2 in his head.
That's right.
but it's sort of like the Cap Gambit fight again. Just everybody knew Captain America was going to win. There wasn't going to be any surprise there.
It
was-
all
Love
was
the
a
art
wasted-
though. McNiven's.
It all
just
comes back.
Badass.
It all
Love
comes
art.
back to Marvel vs. DC back in the 90s when they had the Wolverine versus Lobo fight, and the whole thing is off panel, and then it just goes back on panel, and Wolverine's like standing over Lobo and like knocked him over a bar or something like that. It's like whatever. These fights are ridiculous. There's no. You can write it either way. If Squirrel Girl can defeat Galactus, you can write it anyway. You know.
Yeah. good call.
So the Spider-Man
Colossonaut.
Colossonaut. Oh, well, don't worry, I will never pronounce this thing the same way twice.
Yeah, you just don't pronounce it Colossonaut.
But That fight I actually really enjoyed, especially from the Spider-Man perspective where he was fighting Juggernaut instead of Colossus. He never really, like everything he was pulling on and talking about had to do with, well, I've defeated him with this. There's actually a history there. where
Yeah, I was
Spider-Man's
kind of
in-
liking that matchup too.
And
yeah.
I think, honestly, too, I think Sal LaRocca looked at some old school Spidey Juggernaut battles because the panels actually look the same. And I wanted to go back and look at some of those old Spider-Man books, but I forgot I got rid of them all because I hate Spider-Man.
Well, but this is my question: everyone gets their ass beat and handed to him except Spider-Man?
Well, realistically,
experience.
he withdrew from combat and therefore Juggernaut won, even though there was no. I guess if you retreat, the other guy wins by default, and that's what happened there.
He stepped out of the ring.
Can't they just do another contest of champions where there's actually a score going on, like ding?
They
ding,
just
ding.
they just reprinted Contest of Champions
Yeah,
too.
it's one of my
so,
favorite
that's
books,
probably
actually.
why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on from AVX here because we got a couple questions on Twitter that I'm going to read, and then we'll do some random picks. Two quick questions, and they have some, I think, quick answers, but I'll read them if anyone wants to throw in their 2 cents. First question: what does a comic conspiracy crew think of the New Defenders book? That's from Evil Penguin 9000. I read the first couple.
That's a Terry.
Terry Dodson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the first couple and I did not like it. I need to catch up. It was just goofy.
Did
and
Fraction start writing that one?
Yeah, and even though it's a little annoying, they have those little 70s Marvel like description at the Jesus.
stop.
Description at the bottom of the panel that's like, oh, see, something in this other book, like these weird description.
Is it reference to, like, 70s books?
Advertisements. Yeah, the old 70s books from Marvel.
You have to go dig. You have to go do some digging to.
No,
get
not
the
even
reference.
that. Not even that. At the bottom of the pages, underneath the artwork, they would have like, oh, who's showing up in Doctor Strange this month? Check out Doctor Strange number 17. And it was like these little like one-line ads for like all their other comics. And then Marvel did this on and off in the 70s for a little while. And it's kind of funny that he puts this in there, but they're like, it's a little like distracting and maybe a little too like, okay, I got like maybe do it in the first issue and then stop. But we're like 6 issues in, and it's just kind of goofy. And like I don't know, that's kind of a weird complaint about the book.
This is Fraction, right?
Yeah.
See, the thing is, Fraction does that a lot in Casanova, too.
Oh, does he?
So,
Casanova was off. I tried reading one. It was hard.
I don't know. I
Love it.
The first issue that I read with those at the bottom, I actually was really amused by a lot of the stuff that was in them.
The first.
But then, like the next issue, they'd be talking about the exact same books again with almost the exact same tagline, just a little different.
And it sounds stupid. I mean, that has nothing to do with the plot or the art or anything like that in the book. It's just kind of this weird little thing that just kind of sticks out to me, and I hate it that it's there every
And
time.
on a side note,
Yeah.
I love that stuff in the Adventure Time book.
Ah, nice.
But you almost miss them because they're this really weird, close to white color, like green, like really light green. So if you're not looking at the bottom of the page, you won't see them.
also, it's not like the hot pink, like the little AR ads.
Oh, God.
I don't even think that worked for number 4.
We got
It's
a
number 4 for me.
Oh, really?
I tried it. I don't like half of it didn't even work.
we got another question here from Izao, who asks, with Batman Incorporated out this week, how well will another Batman title sell? How will it affect sales of the other titles? Well, I'll tell you, Batman Incorporated coming out this week, it's going to sell awesomely because it's Grant Morrison. Because
And Chris Burnham.
Right, and Chris Burnham's a
Right?
monster. That guy's
Fucking-
a beast.
yeah, he's a
That guy's-
total fucking
Where'd this
savage.
guy come from?
He's just-
I don't know this guy prior to
No.
Batman Inc.
Yeah.
Maybe I do, and I just don't know that I've seen his stuff before. But his stuff's incredible. He's great.
It just seems like Grant Morrison, like, yeah, what are you going to do to follow up quietly?
Yeah.
And then you have, Lee Garbett, you step in, and you have every fucking artist is, Frazier,
Yeah.
Irving.
Yeah,
I mean,
Frazier's
every artist,
great.
it just blows away
Yeah.
the other guy. And now
Yeah.
Chris Burnham, he's just like
Yeah.
on this other level.
Yeah, he's really good. And I mean, Batman Incorporated won't affect any of the other Batman titles
Well,
because
it's not crossing over with.
it's
core,
it's
or
not
the
crossing
Nine Owls.
over. It's not crossing over, and Morrison books sell to Morrison people who sometimes completely ignore everything else going on. So it's
Yeah.
basically, sure, I'll take another top 10 seller. Why not? It can replace Hawkman or whatever the hell it replaced.
No, it's Hawkeye.
Or
Hawkman's still coming out.
whatever. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Hawk and Dove. Sure. Sure.
Because I mean, how far is Grifter and Deathstroke gonna fall.
I don't know if anyone else can back me up on this because I don't know if anyone else has read it, but I heard Grifter was awesome.
No.
Oh, I liked it. I
heard-
liked that.
Yeah,
Deathstroke.
I flipped through Charlie's Grifter and I was like, oh shit, I have to read it.
I heard Grifter was awesome.
Yeah,
It was-
and I'm like,
and the art is far better than it
yeah,
was originally.
it is
too.
totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually, like I said, I actually
I
kind
hate
of like
the cover.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering if people are like, "Oh, Liefeld cover dropped my book," but again, I heard it was good. So
I read it.
Brock thought it was choppy.
I thought I didn't like it. No, Grant Morrison is choppy. Grant Morrison is choppy. You can only read Grant Morrison. I don't even know why they put single issues of his shit out. But no, I liked it, but it was like, okay, then you bring Deathblow in. I'm like, oh, this is interesting.
Time, but luckily they brought him in with Grifter.
I think the title hasn't hit the mark like it did in the beginning with me. So, and adding Rob Liefeld onto the book has his name on it. That already taints it for me.
You kind of look like Deathblow,
So-
but you're a ginger and you wear glasses and you have a
I'm the
beard.
other guy.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to ask you this:
Youngblood, right?
what do you have against Liefeld?
Huh?
I'm just curious.
I don't know. I've never got his art style has stayed the same. It has.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah,
not
but he's
drawing
doing
this
the
book.
writing on
He's-
this
he's
one.
not drawing.
He's not even writing it; he's co-writing.
He's
Well,
co-writing.
co-writing. Yeah,
He's
plotting.
I've
nothing
read,
really to do with his ability to tell a story.
I don't know. I've read like Hawk and Dove was so bad.
He didn't write that
He
either.
didn't write
He
I
that.
just
know,
drew
but
it.
the art was so bad.
I'm not disagreeing.
Was it Sterling Gates?
Yeah.
Doing Hawk and Dove? Sterling Gates is one of the. He was
I-
considered one of the best
I-
top talents coming out.
I mean, he was Jeff Johns' like.
right hand, little.
Yeah, and
whatever.
I really liked his run in Supergirl, but
Yeah,
Hawk
Supergirl's-
and Dove, whoa,
Really?
I don't know what was going on
The
there.
art does that to stories, though.
I
Even
guess.
the scripts, it could fuck up scripts.
Yeah.
because
I
if you
have-
have the plotting and you don't have it done right, especially by someone that who's the co-writer Sterling Gates.
Maybe that's
See,
also
yeah.
I read Deathstroke before I read Grifter, and that
Oh, see,
was
Deathstroke,
so
I didn't
bad.
even bother
So
because I
bad.
know I'm not gonna. I just,
I had no problem with either, really. I'm looking
Yeah, I'm
forward to
actually
reading more.
I'm actually very, very curious, and I might have to go check him out.
no, I mean when it comes to Rob Liefeld's art, I just can't, and it's fine. I mean, I don't hate the guy. I think
I think he's a super cool guy. It's just he does not draw feet well. He doesn't know anatomy. If you went back and
He doesn't draw
studied-
chest, torch,
in
though.
Deathstroke it's had such violence in that book and such blood and gore. In the opening of that Rob Liefeld stuff, there's no blood and violence. There's no gore, nothing.
Oh,
But
He
doesn't draw that
they
way. He never
introduce-
draws that way.
Then they introduce Lobo, and there's blood all of a sudden. So I was like, okay, how is there not blood with this character, but blood with this character? It didn't make any sense.
See, I agree that I don't really understand why they changed direct. Well, I do understand it all has to do with sales, but I like the direction Deathstroke was going in before Liefeld took it over, and him taking over didn't really ruin the book for me. It's just very different, even from the outset compared to where it was before.
This is what cheating on your woman sounds like when it's a questionable cheating.
all right.
It's different.
Let's move on to our last question here, which actually ties greatly,
get it.
which ties greatly into our random pick of the week question. This is from longtime customer, good friend, and listener to the podcast, Michael Rodden, who asks, best comic or graphic novel you've read published in the last year by someone other than DC, Marvel, or Image. DC, Marvel, Image we have talked quite a bit of, especially recently, but especially the length of this podcast. I mean, these are the big guys in the industry, and that's what we talk about. But there's a ton of great independent books out there, and you know, a lot of times we do kind of, I think we forgot to mention some of this stuff. I'd love to actually, I think we did early on, Brock,
We did
like an
yeah, we did
indie-only
an
episode,
indie-only episode
and I
where
want to
we're
do
like-
another one
Yeah.
soon, because
Yeah, that'd be fun.
there's some great stuff out there. I know we're going to try to do like a manga and anime episode in a week or two, so I think this would be a great thing to follow up in a few weeks after that. I think we all found a few things that we wanted to talk about. Brock, let's start with you. We'll go around.
I got two because one I've repeatedly
best
said.
comic. 2 is not best, but go ahead.
Well, it's two because
Go.
I've already said it. Six Gun has just been amazing.
Yeah.
I read it only in trade, and there's 3 volumes out now. But that book is definitely hits the mark every time. Really well done. The other one is the comic book adaptation of Game of Thrones from Dynamite. Awesome. I mean, it literally just drips Game of Thrones. And if you're not a big person who reads novels, like Ryan Higgins, this would be a great way to actually kind of see more of the world.
But
in
you
a
need to
sense.
show breast assist because Ryan Higgins won't think of the breast assist.
There are some boobies in it.
Dude, I jumped off that first issue because I did not see any breasts.
Yeah, but you're also reading the books.
Yeah, so
And reading the books is a task in itself. So
I know.
reading the book and the comic book
I
at the
put
same
breasts on all the guys too. Well, sorry, forget it.
When you imagine
You're a
when you're
breast
reading when you read in the book, that's how you imagine it,
Yeah.
dudes. I am here to kill you. Look at my boobies.
Yeah.
You're a breast doodler?
I'm sorry. This is your turn. Keep going.
No, I'm just curious. Like, you're a breast doodler? Because I know there's dick doodlers.
Omar,
But you're a breast doodler.
Why don't we move away from Rock's
Okay.
typically filthy mind?
Well, since he picked two, I'm going to pick two.
Sure.
But they're both from Dark Horse. Dark Horse is my second favorite publisher after DC.
It's only
Star
because you're a
Wars.
Star Wars guy.
Of course, Star Wars. No, I love the Dark Horse Presents too. That was like the fastest way I spent $8, I think, in the store.
Huh.
Starting off with Dark Times because that's like probably like their main book. It's like on number issue 101 now, but you know they do really well by renumbering it on every different story arc. Of course, I jump on it whenever I see Vader on the cover. The good thing about it is Vader only shows up in like 3 or 5 pages, and it's all about all the other ancillary parts. It's all about all the other aliens and all the characters that they replace. They make Lando come in, but Lando is just like this twerp little alien guy walking around, but he has the same kind of persona and everything. And
Now,
What's up?
this is collected in trades, right?
Yes, it is.
And how many are out now?
I don't know about trades. I'm not a trade reader.
Because I read Dark Times, I think 3 or 4 of them, because they cross over with Vector.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if there's more than...
There's a lot. I mean, this is number 101, but I have a feeling this is volume like 3 or something like that because this book has been around for a long time, like at least 3 years,
You
right?
say issue 101?
It says it's issue 101.
That can't be right.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Next one.
No, Dark
On to the
Times
next
is
one.
Dark Times is just like a series of miniseries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it's listed as Star Wars Republic 101.
Old Republic. That's
Oh,
okay.
is Dark Times continues the Star Wars Republic line?
Yeah. So you still have like the clone troopers and all those guys in
Lord.
there. So
Okay, can I just say this? I haven't been caught up on too many of the Star Wars Dark Horse books, but man, Dark Horse, get your fucking numbering straight. How is this Republic issue 101? It's called Dark Times. The word Republic is nowhere on this cover. Like, what?
No,
is-
it's just Republic. It's not Old Republic.
I know. Star Wars Republic.
Listen,
right.
all-
It's been running, which was another book previous to that. Marvel or Dark Horse. Fix your friggin' numbering.
no, the problem is
Jesus.
this: you need to get your Star Wars timeline right. This is during the Battle of Yavin, from 1,000 to 0 years before the Battle of Yavin. I'm just fucking with you. I think you're right on that. But anyways, the stories are great. But I jump into this because I was like reading through Dark Times one day, and then I saw this little ad for Dawn of the Jedi, and I saw this guy that looked just like Darth Vader, but not really Darth Vader. You know, he's a black, he's like a knight in knightly garb, but kind of like a mix of a ninja with like a red lightsaber. And then you go through, and what they did was they passed the book off to Ostrander, who's like the legend of writing for many of the Star Wars books for I don't know how many years. I think he did some books in the 90s too. Could any of you guys?
John Ostrander?
Yeah.
Squad.
Yeah, I mean, he's been he's just written
Yeah.
for Marvel,
The original Suicide
or
Squad.
DC for a long time.
Yeah, and then Durazma.
I mean, he's been doing the Star Wars books forever.
Yeah,
now.
forever,
Yeah.
forever, right?
Yeah.
So, but they pretty much did it through history, and they went to the subject of touching on the origins of the Jedi, the origins of the Force, and they kind of went all over the place with it. But I kind of like that they did that because it opened up a whole new world where other writers can jump in and talk about more of those details. I enjoy it. It's cool.
Now, I have a question. Because
What's up?
You love cosplaying as a stormtrooper.
Yeah, I do.
Do you want to cosplay as
This
that
guy? I don't know, man. He's too. I like just being one of the guys. I don't like sticking out too much. Because then if I do some shit, I can just jump in with the rest of them, and then I can possibly get away with it.
It was him. It wasn't me.
I can see it in. Stormtrooper walks out one side, Omar walks out the other.
Exactly.
Joby.
Well, when Ron asked this question, I'm kind of sure that these are not the books he was asking about. But, you know, Charlie said it earlier, it's going to be the Turtles just because they did a fantastic reboot. But again, I think that's not what Ron had in mind when he asked this question. I want to pick Sands of Time really badly, but I haven't finished the book yet. It's a Jim Henson Lost script that Archeana is putting out, and it's a very lovely book, and I just haven't finished it yet, so I can't really pick it just yet.
Well, I mean, you're You're most of the way through it, or halfway through, or something like
you
that.
know,
It's-
maybe in 2 podcasts will be my pick of the week. So but I'll go with Turtles for now. But it's a little easy way out. I'm trying to remember what other stuff I've read that's not Marvel DC. And
Sure.
the other thing is maybe the Fox Sister, the Christina Strain webcomic. That's
Yeah.
I actually really like since been introduced to it. So I don't know, kind of easy way out with the Turtles though.
Charlie.
I scoured the store and I finally figured out what my pick is.
What's your pick?
The Dungeons and Dragons comic.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
The main one?
Yes.
I really didn't like it.
I've been enjoying it. I mean, it's.
I like the Forgotten Realm ones.
I
okay,
like
but
the fact that it sort of makes fun of it. Like, there's certain things being at a role playing game table that people always bring up whenever you're running through a module or something like, okay, we walk through a door this size, yet there's a dragon in there that's this size. And especially with the Zero issue, they had a lot of fun poking fun at that. But then they started really focusing on sort of. It's a very character-driven book, which is as it should be. It kind of has a overall sort of story that you're kind of following, but it's mainly centered around sort of this main fighter-hero type, and then you have, of course, the thief type. And no, it's been a lot of fun. I like a lot of the character interactions, and I love the way they put out the trades so they look like the D&D books.
Yeah. Honestly, so why I didn't order the trades? Because they're giant, oversized, weird hardcovers, which for D&D looks cool, but for the shelf at comic stores, it totally sticks out badly. So
That's okay. They're
That's
cool.
Charlie. It's oversized hardcover guy.
Actually, I secretly really want to do a Dungeons and Dragons sequel to the cartoon book.
oh,
Or
jeez.
I wish they would do it, or something. Actually, I'd like to do it.
Yeah.
Never mind. Don't do it. Let me do it.
There was a couple books I was throwing around in my head. I kind of like that mini Dark Matter that came out by Dark Horse a few months ago. I thought that was pretty cool. There's a couple other books, but I know I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I want to go with Sacrifice again, which is a self-published title by Sam Humphries.
Which we're just waiting for the trade now.
Well, at this point, yeah. I mean, there's been some delay between issue 3 and 4, and something happened. And we couldn't even get our initial order of 3. There was some it ordered in process or something. So I'm kind of like. But I think it's only 6 issues, if I'm not mistaken. So a little slow to come out, but it's been a pretty fun book. It's a guy time travels back to Aztec times. But the question is whether he's really
talking about that one.
Yeah, it was a while back. Whether he's really traveling or not,
Yeah,
whether
yeah,
he's just kind of
yeah.
imagining it, or if he's really back there.
No, you recommended that book to me, and I picked it up, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't bad.
I mean, the sole reason I read this was because the guy was wearing a Joy Division shirt on the cover, and I was like, "Oh, I must read this comic." But it's really good. So there you go. And we'll save. There's a lot of good indie stuff.
You've also been liking the Transformers books, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from
Yeah,
licensed
again,
stuff.
that's not really indie.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from
licensed
the-
books.
yeah.
And, they might be published by indie publisher, but
Well-
it's not really indie. That's why I don't really want to pick the Turtles.
Well, I was kind of thinking the same when I was like, "Oh, what about Avatar?" But I'm like, "Oh, but that's not."
Yeah,
the
it's
licensed
like
thing.
they're not really indie books. You know? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know you've mentioned this a handful of times, but Bakuman. you've
Yeah,
been a huge fan
Bakuman's
of,
great.
so-
Yeah, but we're gonna have a manga episode
Yeah,
soon. So.
Charlie, I remember you were big on Black Sad, which has
Yeah.
been a series of
Sad
graphic
Saga.
novels. That the third volume's coming out soon.
Well, the first hardcover had the first 3 stories in it.
Oh, okay,
And then
okay.
they're coming out with the next hardcover that just has I believe it's supposed to be the final one, the 4th,
Yeah.
but it may just be the
So
4th.
not published in the last year, but you've read in the last year.
Well,
so
yeah, and I think Dark Horse
they republished it. Yeah.
republished it in English
Right.
here, which
Right.
is why I finally got a chance to read it, because
It had been out before, like a long time ago.
in English?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, the 4th one just
I mean, like the first volume, I think, came out in English because I think isn't the first volume like that's an older book, but then they came out with these later volumes more recently. I may be mistaken, but Black Sad's been around for a little while, so
Well, it was
new to
my
English,
first.
new to a current printing in English. So yeah, I don't know the exact publication date on that, but
You know what book I think Ron might like is the Pirate Girl book.
call him Ron
Huh? Ron.
Rodden. Yeah. Oh.
It's my horrible accent.
Okay.
Yeah.
They called him Ron.
Yeah, no. I think he might like the Pirate Girl book, which was a Kickstarter project, and I think we could order it through Diamond.
Which one is it?
You actually had it in the store. You
Oh,
ordered it.
Curse Pirate Girl.
Yeah.
I need to read that. That looks wicked cool. I really wanted to read that for a long time.
I think Ron, who asked the question, might actually enjoy that book. So
yes, Charlie, real quick. So first volume was 2000. Second volume, Arctic Nation, was 2003. But this is all in French. Third volume was 2005, and then the fourth volume, which just finished, was 2010.
Okay.
So but it's coming out here in a more in the. I don't remember who published it first here, but this is like the first time it's been out of print for a long time, basically since maybe the very first printing. So
that's okay. I'm looking forward to the final one.
First for you, so that's good. Cool. So some good picks there. All right. We'll go ahead and call that an episode. Some good stuff. Anything?
I wanted to let people know that they need to check out DC Universe Presents again. Because the new Savage story arc is amazing.
Yeah,
Also
really good.
But James Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
NECA announced today for San Diego Comic-Con the exclusive figure for HeroClix is going to be a Giant Man. So that's going to be like a
Giant Man. What size?
A super booster size. But then he's also going to come with a small dial that doesn't have a piece on it, but they say it's there. You just can't see it.
Am I mistaken? They're doing a Joss Whedon, Stan Lee, the 4-pack. Who is
Harry
it?
Knowles.
Harry Knowles and
then that other guy.
Yeah. Who? The guy from Super Size Me. His name's right on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember it.
Yeah, that guy.
Because he's doing the Comic Con.
Yeah, he's the Comic Con documentary.
Yeah.
And it started as a book, actually. So, because I had that book, I got it as a gift last year. And I talked to the guy for a little bit. He's a pretty cool guy.
Oh, Morgan Spurlock.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw the molds for it. I don't know how real it is, though. I don't know. It could be like limited. I don't know if it's really going to be distributed. I saw the packaging, but I don't know if it's real.
Okay.
So
Stan Lee.
What are you guys talking about?
Stan Lee's legit.
Okay,
That's legit.
So there's a 4-pack HeroClix coming out, right? Exclusive to Comic-Con, featuring Stan Lee. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon. I get that now, sure, with Avengers. and I mean, he's always been a comic guy, sure. Morgan Spurlock. Okay, he's doing this Comic-Con documentary. Okay. Harry Knowles?
Oh, he knows where the dead bodies are buried.
I fucking guess.
He knows
What's
something.
this scumbag getting a HeroClick for? Like, what is... Harry Knowles?
He's got blackmailing somebody.
Are they taking a
he goes, I want a
blob?
HeroClick in my name.
Are they taking a blob figure and just writing Harry Knowles on it and putting it out? Like, what is
Well,
going
would
on?
they need a little what's it called? A little scooter thing too.
Yeah, a little wheelchair or
It's
something.
like you're gonna. It's like you're
The
gonna.
click is radio controlled. You can move it around.
I think like his play mechanic will be like you'll be spammed just like when you go to his site because his site sucks so badly.
Yeah.
I'm just
Harry
wondering what
Knowles.
the Joss Whedon and Stan Lee dials would look like.
The Stan Lee one's pretty fucking cool. They already have that
Support?
out. It's on HC Realms.
Perplex? What do we got?
He has like everything. He's the creator. That's what they have.
He's the creator.
He's the creator.
He can AE into like a bunch
His power
of other
is I could
characters.
do anything I want. I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool.
Is his can swap him out with any other piece in the game?
Something like that. Yeah.
All right. I'll be interested to see those when those come out.
My power. I erase you.
You and I are looking forward to the Death figure.
That's
San Diego.
exclusive.
Yeah, the
Well, San Diego's so far off, even though it's really soon.
No.
No, but really
as
quick,
off as you
what the
think.
fuck is up with Matty Collector? I keep getting like fucking emails. Oh, you're gonna get it. Oh, you're gonna send it. Oh, wait a minute. No, you're not gonna get it. I had like fucking 6 emails. I had 6 different transactions
Oh, are you serious?
on my fucking bank.
I had one. I don't know.
And then
Let's not start Maddie.
yeah.
okay,
Let's not
okay,
start
okay.
Maddie
Toby.
because we could do a full episode.
I was gonna say,
Just
Toby.
me alone.
Let's do a toy episode.
Let's
coming
do that
up.
shit.
Yeah,
Seriously.
let's do. Oh my god, Maddie.
Dude, because I got pissed. I was like, what the fuck's going on?
I hate Maddie.
And then I
but
called them.
Fuck, do I love Masters of the Universe?
And then
if it wasn't for the fucking Masters of the Universe, I will
Okay,
not like
save
Maddie.
it.
Save it for the toy episode.
As we
Maddie's
say,
the most horrible person in the entire universe.
as we say before every podcast, save it for the podcast. We'll save this for a future
You know,
episode.
after you said that, all I envisioned
speaking-
was Maddie walking around a con floor and you
Oh,
just
I will.
tackling him,
No,
beating the
I will
shit
jump.
out of him.
I will jump in the air, both feet,
Speaking
slashing his head open.
speaking of future episodes,
Toby's mic just got turned off.
speaking of future episodes, if you want to hear previous episodes, and in the future hear this great toy episode where Toby's going to rant for an hour and a half about Matty Collector,
I hate Maddie.
you can go to www.geekbox.net, where you can find this episode and all our other episodes, as well as all our other podcasts, including the Geekbox, the Comedy Button, the What a Good Job Brain, and All Talk, which is the podcast run by our forum users, which is pretty cool. You can go to forums at geekbox.net, where you can talk to us and yell at us for a bunch of crap that we say on the air. Email us, thecomicspiracy@geekbox.net, or I'm apparently just going to, every week before we record, ask for people to send us some questions on Twitter, because it seems to work out really well.
Work.
And so, yeah, around...
Instead of emails?
Well, send us an email, too, if you have something longer. But around 6 o'clock or so, I guess on Mondays, maybe jump on my Twitter account and shoot me an email, which is Ryan Higgins Ryan. And Brock is Brock Sager. Omar is Comics and Dakine. Toby's Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. Don't forget to listen to
Infinite Longbox.
The Infinite Long Box. So I'm super far behind, and I got to catch up. But see, you assholes talk about like some comics, some like you're like spoiled. You guys are like massively on top of it and spoiling stuff.
We always say it's a spoiler
I know,
filled.
which is why
That's
sometimes
fucking awesome, though. I love it.
Which sometimes I'm like, God damn it, Charlie, I haven't read this yet. It's got fast forward. So I'm like, God, I got to catch up, and I'm like 2 months behind. so I'm like,
we
I'll
had
be
lots of Diablo 3 talk in the last one.
Ooh, I'll be on for that.
He's like rubbing. Like, I could just see Ryan. I get the image of Ryan rubbing spoiler nut out of his ear.
Yeah. And don't forget, you can go on Brock's blog, Spirit of Brock, and yell at
I
him.
ran even more.
And yell at him for his
Oh my
insane
God.
ramblings on there that we won't even discuss anymore.
It doesn't exist.
Comics It's Kind. Still, Omar's still updating that.
Yeah, in Kenzo, girls do like comics, so shut
Yeah.
the fuck up.
Oh, are you still on about those?
All right.
I'm just surprised there's a bar that had chicks in San Jose.
Dude, there's tons of bitches in San Jose.
I didn't
It's
say
fucking
that.
hot here. They like to be naked, okay?
All right. Well, on that note, I think Omar's going back to the bar.
When did he
All right,
leave
let's
the
do it.
bar?
I'm actually going to be gone next week, so I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Toby's going to be gone next week, and that's why. I
And
think
Jim will be gone.
Jim's
Aw.
going to
I'll
be
be
gone.
in
We'll no longer
Vancouver.
have a live studio audience?
Oh, I think, I think the initial plan was to do our anime and manga podcast on Monday because Fanime is this weekend.
Yeah.
If anyone comes to Fanime, I'll be there. Maybe Saturday, definitely
Ryan
Sunday.
be the one that's dressed up as Speedball at a fan
I'll be
convention.
the oldest person at the con. Just look for the oldest person at the con.
Wearing a
not
Bauhaus
not
t-shirt.
creepy.
That's not super creepy.
That's-
yeah.
Just little creepy, not super.
Yeah. Yeah, anyone over the age of like 21 at the con is like some really creepy old guy taking just a few too many pictures on their like their super zoom cam. So, yeah.
Uh-oh.
And me. So, yeah, come say hi to me if you're in San
I
Jose
won't
for
be there.
Fanime. No shit.
Not with your super zoom cam.
Yeah.
But yeah,
If you're holding the podcast really late, I can make it.
Well, no, that's what I was saying. So I think just the week after we'll do that because we'll talk some Fanime stuff. So it should be kind of cool. So, there you go. That's an episode. We'll talk to everyone next week.